My name is Insane Raven, and I am back with another episode of IR Reviews. It has been a long ass time, I will be the first to admit that. But I'm back now, and it feels good. Feels good to be back, feels good to be talking about movies again. And in this episode, I'm going to be talking about Thor Ragnarok. Now, you might be wondering why I'm talking a little bit lower than usual. It's because it's midnight and I live with other people. Don't scare up with them. But let's talk about Thor Ragnarok. I don't know how to feel about this game. So I think I'm going to kind of talk it through with you guys, and we'll kind of see where I end up at the end of this. Because honestly, I think that this is the funniest Marvel movie I've seen in a while. It had the most genuine laughs. My theater was packed, so I got to hear who was laughing. Got to see what like a packed theater kind of took away from it, and it was just hilarious. I was laughing. I laughed a couple times. I was crying so much. It is an incredibly funny movie, and I think if it was just a comedy,
Move out.
I know exactly where I'd stand with this movie, and I'd be giving it the highest praise imaginable.
Pick your shots.
But it's not. It's also this action flick, and it's also a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. And I think that's where the movie, I wouldn't say it starts to struggle, but it starts to show its bigger issues.
Keep firing.
First off, I have to say that the last couple of Marvel movies for me have been rough. I wasn't a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy. Wasn't a big fan of really most of the or what was the other one I'm trying to think of that I can't remember. I liked Homecoming. Homecoming was fun. I enjoyed Homecoming. But there was another movie that just came out that I wasn't the biggest fan of, and I don't remember exactly, but not important. But Marvel movies with me have been a little bit touch and go. But this one being so funny, makes me want to appreciate it. But it's not funny for the reasons why you want a movie to be funny. It almost feels like Marvel, or the writer of the movie, saw a bunch of YouTube videos and was like, but what if I made that into a Marvel movie? And I mean, I'm on YouTube and I love YouTube, but YouTube is kind of everywhere as a platform, and that's part of the charm of it, is that anything can happen in any second, and it's full of satire and comedy and all these other things that make YouTube so great. But I wouldn't use YouTube to tell a single coherent story. There are times in this movie where it feels like they had like a 5-minute script at the beginning of the process, realized that wasn't enough to make a full movie, and just started asking what if questions, and it ends up filling out the time. Now this movie is 2.5 hours long, which again, because I'm laughing so hard a lot of the time, you don't really feel the time. There's never a time in the movie where you're like, oh, would this just get on with it? But there are all times in the movie where you kind of feel it's like, wait, how did we get here again? I'm not entirely sure. Like, there are moments in the movie where Thor is talking to the Hulk, who is finally given like his own character instead of a relationship to Bruce Banner. He's finally given a character, and it's basically couples therapy, which is not something I thought I'd want to see Hulk and Thor go through couples therapy. But I was laughing a mile a minute, and I enjoyed it. And that's a pretty big deal when something that could have easily just been a bad SNL skit makes me laugh. I also enjoyed the callbacks to earlier movies where you have Black Widow being able to sing a song and say stupid little "the sun is setting" type things, and makes everything better. being called back and not working here because they shouldn't work because it doesn't make sense. And while this stuff does wonders for the movie's comedy chops and tone of, yeah, Thor's been being way too serious for way too long in this essentially comic book comedy series. There's got to be something we can do about that. I feel like they almost went too meta with it. And now Thor is way too meta for his own good, in my opinion. Now, whether or not that will be an issue further on the road is yet to be seen. But it doesn't exactly fill me with a lot of confidence when in a movie that you already had so, and I mean so many zinger characters, you now have another funny man on the cast. And it's, well, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It does make me worry about it in the future. But in this movie, I enjoyed it and it made sense. Other things I want to talk about are the Doctor Strange cameo that shows up. And while it is done very well, and it's, I had this conversation with Rogue because she wanted to go see it with me, of any longer I think it would have been an issue, any shorter and I would have been annoyed, and she thought it kind of hit this perfect balance, and I couldn't share that. I felt like with how big of a deal they made it with you know, this is gonna be done in the next movie type thing, I thought it would be more present. I was kind of picturing this whole going on an adventure with Thor like Hulk did, which might be a minor spoiler, but not really. You know, it was something that I was expecting more of because of how it was kind of talked about. And the fact that it wasn't really used the way I expected it, while it was refreshing, it kind of did throw me for a loop. And I was like, by the end of it, I was like, wait, that's all we're getting? I was hoping and looking for more. Which that might just be my issue as a thing going into it, but I don't know. I feel like the vibes that Marvel was putting out with the Thor Doctor Strange crossover, I thought it was going to be a bigger thing, and it wasn't. So I'm not sure how to take that, if I'm honest. But you know, different opinions, things type of happen. They add a couple new characters into the mix, none of which are overbearing or kind of feel as plot devices. They kind of just exist. They don't, like, they feel genuine and they feel like characters that could have a lot of fun with, and we will definitely be seeing more of in the coming movies. So it's nice to kind of have this feeling of, oh yeah, this movie did matter more than just oh, let's check on what Thor's been doing all this time. So that was fun. And we did get some good character developments on almost everyone's side. No, I'll say everyone's side. Yeah. And it's something that Thor himself comments on how Loki as a character has become too predictable. We trust you, you betray us, and blah blah blah. And the thing that's amazing about that is it's true. When you see Loki on screen, you know he kind of feels this chaotic neutral role, and you know that if there's a thing that can benefit him more, he's gonna do that. And it has become rather predictable, and they kind of see that being mentioned was nice, but it also kind of makes the movie too meta. I don't know. And that's part of the reason why I'm just so confused on how I actually feel about the film. not to mention all the SNL type skits that I've already mentioned. But it just, there's a moment in the movie where it's poking fun at the I'm always angry scene from the original Avengers, which the fact that they can actually make fun of that scene now is absolutely insane to me because of how long it's been and how culturally stuck that is in everyone's mind. Well, Hulk's like, well, you wanted to see who I was, and jumps off this bridge. And jumps off the ship onto the bridge below. And instead of landing and becoming Hulk, he gets killed. And it's this funny moment, but it's this funny moment, but it also just feels too, oh, okay, haha, well, in on the joke too type thing. And it just, there's parts of it that just didn't feel right. While the plot took us around another Odin son family drama type thing, like back in the original movie with Loki, this one feels a little bit more, I don't know, out of the blue. It's weird, like, the solution we are given is that, events in the beginning of the movie and events that at the end of Thor, the Dark Elf, whatever the fuck that movie was called, I don't even remember, is brought up and is spoken about in this way of everything. It does make sense, but only if you're paying attention. And they kind of do poke fun at how trivial and how almost non-important the second movie is within the Thor franchise, and how, yeah, a lot of people didn't see it, and he's been roaming around looking for these Infinity Stones, which no one's been able to find for all these years, and he still hasn't found any. And I don't know, it's a fun thing, but it also just feels like they saw all the issues that people were having on these YouTube videos and these movie reviews, and it's like, you know what, we agree, and instead of really like working on fixing the problems, they joined in on the joke. I don't know, it just felt weird to me. It felt like they were trying too hard to join in on the joke rather than making the joke, if that makes sense. But all in all, I really had a fun time. It's one of those movies that you can just kind of turn on, not become invested in any of the characters, and just watch what's going on. But now I am going to get into spoiler territory. So if you don't like spoilers, this is your one and only spoiler warning. GTFO in 3, 2, 1. Alright, spoiler territory. Good guy wins, bad guy loses. It's nothing really shocking there. But the part that is shocking is that since Avengers, we've had these images of Asgard falling, and it was this big prophecy that is the whole reason why Thor has been off on his own for a bit and been running around freaking out about this prophecy, is because he's worried about Asgard falling, which, as you should, as a member of Asgard, that's kind of a good deal to be concerned about. And in this character that we meet in the first 5 minutes of the film, before even the opening credits shows up, talks about how he's going to destroy all of Asgard, and how Thor has been looking for him so he can destroy him, and blah 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 blah, and all this other stuff that I really wasn't paying attention to because it was the first 3 minutes of the film. Well, he comes back and is revived through the never-ending flame, the never-dying flame, something like that. He's revived and is now, Thor says, hey, look, you have to destroy Asgard, because if you destroy Asgard, my sister, who is the villain, doesn't have any power left, and if we do that, we can save the people, and the people are Asgard. And the people are what we have to save, and wherever the people are, that's where Asgard would be. Now, whether or not you agree with that philosophy of Asgard is where the people are, or Asgard is a place, that's really not up to you, or nor does it matter, because it's what they do, and they get away with it. Using some Mufasa-esque spirit dad paintings, because his dad dies in the first like 20 minutes of the film. I don't know, time gets really weird in these films. His dad's like, hey, don't worry about the place, worry about the people. And then he worries about the people, and the place gets destroyed, and the people are saved, and everyone's happy because he got to destroy Asgard at the place. The people are saved. Valkyrie, who's now apparently super important to this franchise because she's actually one of the main characters in this film, but I haven't talked about her because I felt like mentioning her as a main character would be spoilery, and the fact that she's not just a side character, even though she's shown in a bunch of trailer material. I don't know. So she's in it, and she's now like his right hand in a way. Well, Hal, I think her name was Hal or Hel, something like that. Not quite sure. Again, names are weird in this franchise. It mentions how each king must have an executioner. So it could be that she's just filling the role of Thor's executioner, which, hey, you know, Valkyrie's got to eat too. And they move off in the spaceship with the destination of being Earth, and how all the Asgardians can hide on Earth and be safe on Earth. Because after all, they love Thor, so why wouldn't they love all of Asgard? Which Loki responds to, are you sure you should be bringing me back? Which is a question that everyone had in mind for the theater. Because why the fuck would you bring Loki back to Earth? I feel like that's a bad decision. You get callbacks to other Marvel in-jokes where Thor gets puny god. I didn't know how to reference that. How Thor gets puny god and Loki is ecstatic. It's like, how does it feel? Type thing. And it's a genuinely funny moment that had the entire theater laughing uproariously. You have a possible sexual relationship between Thor and his hammer, which I thought was kind of bold they took. I didn't actually think they'd go for something like that in a Marvel movie. So that was another thing that took me by surprise. The amount of cursing in the film is actually almost over the top, which, as you guys know on the channel, I don't have a dealing with cursing. Hey, it's freedom of speech and expression and all that shit. Go ahead. Say what you want to say. Say what you need to say type thing. But for a Marvel movie, it seemed to go into the range of obsessive. And whether or not that's going to be a pro or con really depends on you and how you feel about cursing in your movies. But I know my mom wouldn't like this movie at all because of that, but well, that's whatever. Yeah, but the movie ends with Asgard getting destroyed and Thor and all of the Asgardians with the main characters moving on to Earth in the spaceship stolen from a planet / projectile plane in the from the bulk of the film. So that's cool because spaceships now exist in the fantasy world. So that's fun. And then the end credit sequence, well, they're talking about how Loki goes, hey, do you think this is a good idea? Do you honestly think we should be doing this? And that's kind of responded with, oh, hey, did I mention we have a giant enemy spaceship? Because there's a giant enemy spaceship in front of us now. And you left kind of pondering, oh, who could have this giant spaceship? Who could it possibly be? And the movie doesn't tell you who it is. It's something we're gonna have to look on the internet to kind of find out. But answers are there if you want to find them. But all in all, I don't know how to feel about this movie. It was a fun time, but it feels like it's all over the place. It feels like a lot of it was just sketches brought up and SNL bits that just never made it to the cutting room floor. There's things that make no sense, kind of just thrown in. A lot of the jokes are top notch, but it also ends up feeling like padding. And at the end, it just kind of leaves me confused, if I'm honest. But again, that's just my opinion. What do you guys think? Did you see Thor Ragnarok? Do you think I'm being too cruel in my assessments? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.